Hello, welcome back to another edition of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. I'm your host, as always, the Mouth of Michigan, Rob Mendyka. With me, as always, my co-host, the Merc Zone, Mike Merkel.
I made it.
Missing in action, the Whale Man once again. That's okay. We're actually shooting the show a little bit early. You guys will still hear it at the same time, but boy, Mike over here, he's going up north for the week, so we had to shoot this show a little bit early. Thankfully, the sports world was nice enough to actually give us some new things to talk about. Thank the Lord. We're going to obviously talk about the Lions' new ownership change, kind of, sort of. We're also going to talk MLB season is officially returning. We got confirmation. 60 games, it's coming. We're going to do an NBA check-in. Some players are in, some players are out. We're also going to be talking NXT versus AEW, the two-week, I guess it's a 2-week marathon for the next couple weeks here.
Yeah.
Great American Bash versus Fyter Fest. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the Red Wings, especially Mr. Ken Holland, the former GM, going to the Hall of Fame. Lots of stuff to talk about this week, guys. One of our more action-packed episodes over the last couple weeks. We appreciate you staying with us as we go through this lull period. Hopefully we're actually going to get some new action to actually finally talk about, which will be nice. But let's jump right in, Mike. The biggest news probably for Detroit sports fans, football obviously dominates not only the show, but the entire United States for the most part. Anytime any football team does anything, it's a big deal. The Lions have officially a new majority owner, I guess is the best way to put it, Sheila Ford Hamp. The daughter of Martha Firestone Ford, who was the previous owner, is taking over. Martha is stepping down. She's 94, so... put two and two together there. She's 94. So her daughter, who's been kind of been running the team a little bit anyways, been kind of her number 2 under Martha, is officially taking over now. She's extremely excited about, what that means, what that's going to entail, obviously. And and some people, let's just address this let's address these people right away. The Fords need to sell the team, or else the Lions will never be good. Let's get that out of the way right now, Mike. In your opinion, does that have any merit whatsoever? That, in your honest opinion, will the Lions never win until the Fords sell the franchise?
I don't necessarily think so.
Yeah.
I don't think the owners necessarily have the biggest impact.
Yes.
They have all the impact in choosing who the head coach is.
Yeah,
and then they have the decisions and the GM and everything.
For sure.
But I think the owner getting rid of, changing ownership, I don't think directly corresponds to winning. Mm-hmm. I do think that there is the top tier for the Patriots and the Dallas Cowboys,
mm-hmm.
where obviously having the great owner and everything maybe sprinkles through a little bit, but most owners aren't super involved in their teams.
Exactly.
So I look at more of the GM and the head coach as being the problem.
And here's the thing, and I know that, and you made a great point, right? The owners hire the GM, the owners then hire the GM to hire the head coach. I get that, right? But at the same time, let's not make the mistake here in thinking that the Ford family owns this football team just because they want to own a football team. That doesn't make any sense. Now, I'm not saying they have a great track record, clearly. As you can see, our trophy case is empty. We don't got nothing to show for it. But at the same time, it is ludicrous for me to think that, the Fords are the sole purpose why this franchise has not done well. Are they a contributing factor? Yes. Have they not made moves like firing Matt Millen, hiring Matt Millen, but not firing him immediately? Yes, right? There are moves that they have made that obviously haven't made a lot of sense. But I can say this for 2 things. Number 1, this last hiring cycle, whether you agree with what Bob Quinn has done with this roster or not, they went out and they did what every other team has done. They hired a firm. They hired Ernie Accorsi, who was a respected mind, the same guy who drafted Eli Manning and John Elway and all these other great players. They hired a guy that everybody in the NFL respects to hire Bob Quinn. They used Bob Quinn and that connection to hire all that stuff is what every other team in the league does. So whether you like this regime or not, and I definitely think we're going to get into this in a second, what this means for this current regime, I think we got to give this a little bit of a chance. Have they done a great job? No. Has Martha done immensely better in 3 seasons than her husband did? Yeah, because her husband was a dumbass. But at this point, I'm not going to judge the daughter just for taking over because she's the daughter, okay? Let's give this a chance. Let's see what happens, and especially going into this pretty much make-or-break season for Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia, at this point, I feel very much like we were with not even so much Caldwell, but Martin Mayhew and Tom Lawan, where it was, okay, they're not winning. Martha's first year as owner, we start out 1-7, 1-8, 1-9, and she fires everybody except for the coach, right? She went through and went, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. Do you think that we're in a similar situation now where if the Lions don't start out 4-2, 5-3 going into the midway point of this season, that heads are going to roll?
I think there's a very high chance heads are going to roll.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how much of it was Martha and how much is her daughter, Sheila, who contributed to Patricia and Quinn staying and everything. Because we don't really know if she was advocating for them to leave or advocating.
She's been a very large voice since Martha took over. Yeah. Where when Ford Sr. was taken over, the younger son Ford Jr. had a more of a role. It's actually kind of segued from to now Martha and Sheila, which is now who's taken over.
Agreed, but it's I don't know, maybe because last year everyone was they should be fired last year, and Martha's no, we should keep her. I don't know if that was more Sheila going, oh, we should probably keep them, or maybe she was trying to get them out, but Martha didn't want them out. Right. So I think this year is going to be a very big telling point on if they do start off at 1-5. Is Sheila just going to fire the camp? Right. I think she probably will. I think they're on.
Oh yeah, I think they're on. Yeah, they're on thin ice. I think if they start at 0-4, it's pretty much done. Yeah. I think 0-3, you can make a plausible argument that you can maybe, because the middle of the season, the way the schedule shakes out, they can kind of balance that out. Yeah. They start at 0-4, go into the bye week without a win. I think everybody's gone. Yeah, everybody's gone. Similar question too, because I know some people. I don't listen to local Detroit sports radio anymore because it makes me want to hurt myself. But I know some people have come out now and said that Sheila has come out and said that she's not going to put a number, right? Not a number of wins, not a number of losses on this season. They just want to see major improvement. For me, based off of what they said last year, where they expect to be a playoff contender, I think 10 wins is 9 to 10, depending on how the NFC shakes out. But I'm going to stay here and say 10 wins is probably where this Lions team is to get to in order for everybody to keep their jobs next season. Are you in lockstep with me, or are you? Because some fans are if they go 7-9, they're going to keep their jobs. I don't think that's the case. I don't think that this regime can go under 500 and still keep their jobs. That's not a big enough improvement for me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't think 7-9 they should keep their jobs, but I think there's a plausible chance that they will. Okay. Because I think I think they're smart people over there, and I think they really bought into the fact that they were more of a 3-12-1 than what they were. Yep. I look at them more as a 7-win team from last year, or a 6-win team. I think they were about the same than his first and second year. But everyone goes, oh, but the record's 3 wins. So if you improve to 7 or 8 wins, that's a 4 or 5 win jump up. Right. Meaning, oh wow, you've substantially improved, meaning that you should keep your job. But to me, if I want to see that exact same substantial uprise, I have to look at them at a 6 or 7, so I'm looking more at
if Stafford stays healthy, they're probably a 500 football team. 7-9, 8-8.
Yeah, from last year.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So with that being said, you need more wins.
Substantial jump would be about 10 wins. Right. But for most people, it would be a substantial jump. Patricia could honestly argue the fact that we were 3 wins, now we got to 7 or 8. That's 5 wins. I mean, we're improving, but it's you're improving from. Really. Yeah, you're not really improving. You're
improving from terrible to average. That's not good.
Yeah, to me, I look at you as 6 wins. So if you're 8 wins and improving, I'm that's not improving to me at all.
Exactly, and that I think is the way that they need to approach this. They need to look at this team objectively and say, and we've done this. We've done the roster breakdown on paper. We have said from the beginning that this team needs to be a playoff team where everybody needs to be canned. Yeah. We understand that, and we just talked about this. We had a great conversation before the show, and this is a pivotal moment for the Lions franchise, not because of ownership, but because of what this could potentially mean. If this football team goes 9-7, is there a chance that these guys are back? Probably. Right? I think there's a good chance of that, especially if they somehow squeak into the playoffs. However, there needs to be a true evaluation of are we making strides in the right direction? We were 9-7 3 years ago, and that wasn't good enough. So to be 9-7 and then go and take these steps backward in the logic being, okay, but we're going to take these steps back in order to take 5 steps forward. If we're just get back to the same place we were 3 years ago, we've done nothing. You know what I mean? So I think that this season, even if it is 10-6, we've been 10-6 before, we've been 11-5, but if they go 10-6 and look competent and look like a legitimate playoff contending team that a good 10-6 Philadelphia Eagle team could be, then I think you're in a different realm. I mean, for you, what is your line for this regime? If you're Sheila, your first big decision, they're 10-6, they make the playoffs, and say they look competent. Say we have another Dallas situation where they have potential to win the football game. Are you confident in the way that season went, and are you good with your leadership, or are you no, that we squeaked by, we beat all the bad teams, but we lost all the good teams. Because I don't want another Caldwell situation where we have a 750 win percentage against the teams with sub 500 records, but we've got a 250 win percentage against teams that are above 8 wins. You know what I mean?
I think it really comes down to the playoff win atmosphere.
Yes.
Because I think that at that point you're playing the best team at the best, their best possible time.
Right.
Because I don't even take credit to when, say, we play like the Saints in week 4 or whatever, but they come off of the Bucks, Ravens, and Chiefs, and then they're playing us, and they just have a bad game because they had 3 great games previously.
Absolutely.
And you're like, oh, we beat the Saints, but it's like,
we're a playoff contender, but then we go and lose next 3.
Yeah, exactly. Where like if you're playing the team in the playoffs, I want them to make the playoffs. I think if they don't make
playoffs, everyone should be fired.
With 7 seeds now, I get the NFC's tough. I've named through.
We've gone through it several times.
There's like 9 or 10 teams that I think are already better than us roster wise, maybe in the NFC alone.
For sure.
So it's gonna be very tough to get in there. But I think if you push in there and be competitive in the playoff game, like a Dallas situation, where maybe if you lose by a last-second field goal or something, I go, you put up a fight against the Philadelphia Eagles in a playoff game, I can't really
in Philadelphia, harsh conditions, or compare it to when they played Seattle in Bob Quinn's first year, where we didn't even belong in that game. It was a disaster.
Exactly.
We couldn't stop the run. I think there's a big difference there.
Yes,
absolutely.
You have to be competent, and you just have to be competent in the playoff game, because if you get absolutely blown out, then you're like, well,
and that's the thing. And I think there's this leash. I've been a very big proponent of Bob Quinn. I like this roster. I do think there's holes, but I like this roster, and I think there's potential here. But with that being said, if they start out 0-4, 0-5, this whole plug needs to get pulled immediately. They need to go on the hunt, now. Immediately. Eric Bieniemy, the offense coordinator from the Chiefs, is the first guy they need to be calling. I don't know why he's not a head coach yet, but they should be calling him. They should be like, you're the coach. No Rooney Rule needed. You're the guy, you know what I mean? And figuring that out, but I can't stress enough how important the first month and a half of this season is really going to go, because, and I'll be honest, and I think I speak for you as well when I say if they're sub 500 or they're even at 500 this year and nobody's fired, I'm going to be pissed, because then I just feel like we're in the Detroit Pistons purgatory, floating, happy just being able to be 500, picking 16th every year in the draft. That doesn't work for me. You know what I mean? And that can't happen. You got a quarterback that's at the tail end of his third contract, but could potentially get a fourth. I don't know. He's going to be in his mid-30s, and yet you don't have any options right now. You know what I mean? So it's either, if you're going to suck, let's suck, get the best quarterback prospect we've seen since Andrew Luck and be done with it, or let's actually make a run and let's not be a laughingstock of the league for once. You know what I mean?
I do think also, if you do somehow start off bad and you tank and you get Trevor Lawrence, I think you get a lot of media attention that comes with getting someone like a Trevor Lawrence. Because even picking, you pick number 3 and you get Jeff Okudah, you're like, yeah, but it's just a corner. You get the best, you get the Andrew Luck of quarterbacks of this decade probably, and everyone's going to go, the Lions.
Right, exactly.
And you're going to have all that
just wait. Yeah, exactly. There are so many moves contingent upon this season. It's actually quite crazy when you really think about it, especially because you got Justin Fields coming out in this draft too. There's a lot of stuff that could potentially happen that's really can shape. You know what? Here's the problem: is that we're going to be 11-5 this year somehow, and yet we're going to keep everything the same. We're going to miss out on all these quarterback prospects, and then we're just gonna go right back to being what we are, and it's going to be frustrating as all hell. But we can hope, we can pray. That's why we're fans in the first place. But very interesting nonetheless. It's extremely exciting. I'm excited just to see what's going to happen. I'm excited for the season. I'm hoping that we're actually going to get an NFL season. So more and more people are coming out and saying, well, I don't know if we should play or whatever else like that. But then I see videos of Stafford with Jamal Agnew and those guys warming up, and I'm like, all right, I'm back in. I'm ready to get hurt again, baby. Let's go.
I do think we will have an NFL season.
I do too. Right.
I think if you're able to have NBA, MLB, and everything, I think you can figure out how to put the NFL season
for sure. Absolutely. Let's talk about the NBA here for a second, because we're right on the cusp, right, of the NBA coming back. I'm excited. I can't remember the last time I've been this excited for basketball. especially because we in Detroit, so like it is what it is. You're obviously you're always excited, but we're gonna get some regular season action. We're gonna figure out the seeds. We're gonna somehow get the Pelicans into that playoff spot somehow. We're gonna
push our way in there.
We're gonna see that happen, and we're gonna get some quality playoff matchups for sure. Some new content for us to talk about, but now what we're seeing though is a couple different things coming out of the league. Avery Bradley is probably the first somewhat big. I wouldn't say he's a huge name, but he's a pivotal role player for a good Lakers team.
I would say he's probably the biggest name so far.
Yeah, correct. To say that he's sitting out, he plays basketball for his family. He's not going to be in the thing. We've also seen guys like I think Jared Dudley's come out. He's like, soft tissue injuries, 5-on-5, and Patrick Beverley obviously clapping back, being like, it's a full year sport, be ready, kind of thing. So we're getting some of that action going on. For you, obviously the big stars are still going to play, right? The LeBrons, the Kawhis, the whoever. But at the same time, are you concerned at all with some of these teams? Maybe not the Lakers, but some of these middle tier teams where if a guy sits out and he's part of your 7-8 man rotation for the playoffs, they're out. Are you concerned at all that's going to affect the play at all of this series, or do you think that as long as it's not a core guy, a Giannis, Jason Tatum, it's not going to have a tremendous impact on these series outcomes?
I would say if you're starting 5 from when the season broke, it's going to be a big impact. If you're just one of the rotational guys, even like a 6th or 7th man, I think they could finally, I think an Avery Bradley really hurts because of the perimeter defense.
Oh yeah, he plays great defense.
And he plays great defense, and now maybe LeBron has to go up to the 1 now, and that's going to be an awkward spot to
for sure. Because then you have a mismatch somewhere else on the court.
Yeah, exactly. So I think for someone like that, it's going to be rough. But if the Mavericks are losing their backup center, I'm like, you could just. Not saying that you can just
I get it.
But you could just
someone's stretching some minutes and we're going small for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like it's not it's not the end of the world.
Yes.
If you lose Porzingis or Luka, you're like, okay, that's rough.
Yeah, right.
But now if you're just losing your backup center, it's like.
Right, yeah, and I definitely think, it's something to talk about for sure. It's something to monitor. The Dudley comments were interesting because he's like, we get a week and a half, 2 weeks to go basically straight into 5-on-5 practices to get ready for this quasi-season before we go into the playoffs. And he's concerned about some, some soreness and that kind of... Is it Jared Dudley who made the comments?
I don't know.
Was it him?
I have to go back check, but I was like, Jared Dudley's like the 13th man on the Lakers.
No, I know, but I think he's the one who actually made the comment. He was like, well, he's worried about his butt getting sore from sitting on the bench the entire time.
Yeah, so. that makes sense.
But it does beg the question, though, guys like LeBron, he's 34, 35. Kawhi's not young anymore by any means. Paul George is in his 30s. You see some of these guys, it's going to take a minute, to heat up a little bit and to really get into that season rhythm. Now, guys like Patrick Beverley are like, screw you, dude. Like, I'm ready to go right now. You're just fat and out of shape, whatever. But at the same time, there is, I think, a little bit of credence to that. Are we concerned at all about a possible injury bug kind of affecting some of our more premier talent that's maybe not 26?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm not worried about, like, the premier guys. Because I think I think if you're like the LeBrons or the whoever, like Anthony Davis, you've all been working out because you know that you can't risk that.
Right,
like,
for sure. You can't just sit for 3 months.
Yeah, you can't just sit for 3 months because at least in the back of your mind, NBA's probably coming back.
And if it does, then we'll be ready. If not, well, then I'm in shape.
Yeah, I'm in shape and I can just do whatever afterwards.
Yeah.
But those top tier guys are always been in shape, so I'm not really worried about that. And they also get 8 play-in games or whatever anyway.
Yeah.
So they can kind of go through the motions there. You're not just jumping. That was my concern, is if you just jump into
playoffs,
best of 7s.
Yeah, you're like, whoo!
And it's like Lakers versus Pelicans. I'm like, wait, that could be rough.
Right.
Because LeBron's just going automatically 45 minutes, super hardcore.
And he's not 27.
And he's not 27. But if you get 8 warm-up games and then you get to test
really
out everything.
As a preseason.
I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. I do think you'll see the older guys get hurt, but I think the top premier guys will be able
I'm really excited just to see how this plays out. This is the first time we've ever seen something like this, right? Where we see this long drought really go right into a season.
Saints, they're playing all day long.
Yeah, that's
starting
crazy.
at 10 a.m. and they're playing all the way until 10 p.m.
Just because they got to get it in. They're trying to get it in before the winter. They're just let's go.
They got 11 teams, or you have 11 games a day, hypothetically. And
it's going to be basketball
each game is probably going to have its individual time slot, so everyone can watch them. It's not going to be like 2 at 7 o'clock.
No.
One.
They're going to maximize their time.
Exactly.
On TV
so they can maximize the revenue and everything that they get from it. So yeah, you're gonna have to run games all the time.
Oh my gosh,
it's gonna be on repeat.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, and it's gonna, and I'm excited for it. Any new sports at this point, I would.
Okay, are you concerned at all? Do we?
Yeah.
How much,
No, we got time.
Okay. How much worried are you gonna be that there's gonna be because you're getting a massive overload of sports now.
Mm-hmm.
Because think about on say August 1st,
right.
You could have a Stanley Cup playoff game. You could have a baseball regular season game, which. Well, you might not watch
for sure. But hey, if I'm a Tigers guy though, and they're playing all these young dudes, I want to see what this team's gonna look like.
You're gonna have NBA playoffs, and then if it's Wednesday night, you have NXT and AEW that you might want to watch too. Yeah. So are you concerned about you're gonna have 5 different games on at once?
Yes, and I think that what's gonna wind up happening is I think you're gonna see a lull in the wrestling side because of that. Okay. Because I think. WWE and AEW, especially because AEW's on TNT, and because this is unprecedented, that's why they went to Wednesdays in the first place, just because usually basketball's not on Wednesday nights, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, in this case, if they get pushed into it, and similar things, no offense, but I can watch a rerun of NXT whenever, right? But I'm going to know the results of that game that I care about, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm a St. Louis Blues fan, I care about what the hell's going to happen in this Stanley Cup playoff, right? If I'm a Lakers fan, I definitely care what's happening in this playoff. For Detroit people specifically, I don't think you're going to see much of an impact, but I think overall, I think the NBA is going to dominate these ratings just because of the star power, and it's the second most popular sport, and because baseball, we've talked about, is so uneven. It's either you're in it or you're totally out of it.
I kind of throw baseball out of it, but they're just starting up a week.
Right,
so they're going to be a week.
It's going to be the new hotness for a minute, you know what I mean? Because we're going to get new seasons, and I do think you're going to see a more retention because teams like the Tigers, 60 games, right? And we're going to talk about that in the second half of the show, but when you get that, and with the Stanley Cup playoffs, I think you're going to have your hockey diehards for sure, but the mass of the general U.S. population is going to be locked in on the biggest basketball games of the week. I really think that, and I think that they're going to really dominate, and I'm hoping that the product, the quality of gameplay is equal to the attention, because I'll probably watch as many playoff games as I have in years, just because, outside the finals, because it's new, you know what I mean? And we've talked about the balance across this league for months now, and we're finally going to see the fruits of that labor. We're going to see all the best teams going at it. They're refreshed. They're ready to go for, the next 2 months. It's strap me up. Let's go. You know what I mean? It's going to be great. All right, and that's going to be it for part 1. After the break, we're talking MLB is coming back. We talked about the 60 games. We're going to talk about the impact of that in regards to your Tigers. We're going to talk AEW versus NXT's Fyter Fest versus Great American Bash, and we're also going to hint quickly on the Red Wings and Mr. Kenny Holland, former GM, going to the Hall of Fame. Congrats to him. All that after the break. Stick around. And welcome back to part 2 of a high-octane, action-packed episode of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. I'm pumped. I'm excited. We actually got stuff to talk about finally. So it's been dry here on the show the past couple weeks. The fact that we've maintained go week by week, I think, is a testament to me and Mike over here being able to find some topics to talk about, because sometimes, man, these pre-show meetings, we're scraping the barrel pretty hard on some of this stuff. Luckily, Mike is the king of rankings and breakdowns of every nature, basically. You want to break down a player, his strengths, his weaknesses, a roster, a coach, a person, a girlfriend. He is the guy to go to. So hit him up at Mike Merkel on Twitter if you want to give out some ratings here. He's a pretty tough grader, though. I don't want to grade myself even, because I know I'll fail. So, and I do the show with him. But let's jump right back in, Mike, to our discussion. MLB baseball, man, it's back. We're getting it. 60 games. It's coming up for you. A short and condensed season. For some fans like me, quite honestly, it's something that I've wanted for a while. I know this is not a permanent thing, but I'm very interested to see, maybe not this year because of the COVID stuff, but do you think that even though we're going to have this influx of new sports, right? Do you think that baseball could possibly see bigger viewership, more people that are entertained, more people that care about the baseball regular season because we're cutting it down 120 games? Because now you have a little bit of a sense of urgency, right? Can you still go on a 5-game losing streak? Yes, you can. But Now, before, where the Tigers are going a 12-game losing streak, that's a sixth of your season. You know what I mean? So, do you think that, for especially Tigers fans who are just looking for anything to get excited about, to see a possibly really young team with a lot of really high potential guys go out there and just say, screw it, let's just go and try and win some baseball games? Are you excited? Are you intrigued about how this is going to play out? Or because of everything else that's going on, it's kind of on the back burner for you?
Well, it will be on the back burner for me. I'm going to preface that. But I am excited about baseball a little bit. I'm always interested because everything else will be in playoffs. Yeah. So it'll be nice to have, regular season stuff going on also because every team is in it. So, the Tigers will be in it or the Cubs will be in it.
For sure.
Those are the only two rooting interest teams I have in baseball, really. Maybe the Yankees will lose.
There we go.
You never know.
Everybody wants the Yankees to lose. The Astros. They're all going to get hit with pitches.
Every single one of them.
That'll be the tune-in TV. How many times did the Astros get? 12 times. Wow, that's a lot of pitches.
Also, before I get into this point, the asterisk I need all the funny players to get mic'd up in baseball. Because they did it for the Cubs, and Chris Bryant was mic'd up, and he was just making Astros jokes the whole time.
Oh my gosh.
He was just like, hey, can you bang the trash?
The problem is, all the good players, most of them are like Dominican or something like that, so they don't speak very good English.
Or they're just
what did they just say?
Yeah, or they're boring. But I do think the season will be very interesting with only 60 games, so 162, cutting out 102 games. That would be awesome. Yeah. Because every game means something more.
Right.
You're having a national-wide designated hitter.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So every team is going to be the exact same in that front. So
which I think is something they're testing out because I think that a lot of people are like, why? It makes no sense to have one, to not have one.
I agree. I think it's stupid.
Yeah.
But now they're testing out. Hopefully they keep it because I think it'll be awesome.
Absolutely.
And if they go to extra innings, they start with a guy on second base, which I thought was very weird too.
To put him in scoring position. Let's wrap this up. Let's go.
Well, they don't like to keep you out there for 12 innings. Which I totally agree. I'm like, I don't want to go out there for 12 innings either.
No. Especially in a 0-0 tie.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, we could just.
It's a pitching duel. Great.
But it'll be really fun to watch. I'll be watching some of them. I do have 2 TVs and a laptop, so I'll probably have something on.
For sure. Yeah. Do you think that for Tigers fans, I know some people are. It's a 50-50 split in a lot of regards. Some people are like, let's just put people all the guys. Let's put Mays, Skubal, Manning, Faedo, Riley Green, the new dude, Gutenkirst, whatever his name is, I don't even know. All right, from Arizona, everybody. Let's just put them all out there and say screw it, right? And let's go. And then there's some people who are like, it's not going to be this year. It's maybe 2021, and we're going to basically get a shortened, condensed season where we're going to be like, it's going to be whatever, and then next year is where we're going to finally start to see some of these high picks, high-profile guys that everyone's just kind of like licking their chops, ready to go. Where are you on that? Are you, because of the shortened season, you're like, maybe this is a perfect time to kind of test the waters a little bit, knowing that if we suck, it doesn't matter because we're expected to suck anyway.
Do you know if they have the minimum game for new players to come into baseball this year?
I don't know for sure. That's the one thing when I was going through that whole segment, I was trying to figure out if they did or not.
Because I don't know. I don't remember seeing it or not yet.
Yeah,
I don't know if they've announced it,
right.
But I think that would play a big part.
Okay.
If that impacts,
if it counts as a year of eligibility for arbitration.
Yeah, if you play 20 or 30 games or something, maybe they wouldn't. But if it doesn't, I don't see
why not.
Right. Because you're getting to test them against the majors. So hypothetically, you could look at someone like Peyton Mize or Casey Mize,
right.
And you go, listen, he's not throwing as well against the major leaguers as we thought he would.
So
maybe
he's not ready.
Yeah, he's not either ready, or maybe you could just
we need to figure some stuff off.
Yeah. But if there is that period where you can only play 20 games and then it counts, then maybe you just don't play them and wait.
And I think that's kind of the balancing. I definitely think that's going to be into it. Honestly, with this Tigers team is weird, right? Because you have a lot of guys that everyone's talking about, none of which are on the main roster for the most part.
Basically.
But at the same time, with the way this is breaking down, I mean, they're playing 40 games against just the division. They got 10 games against the White Sox, 10 games against the Twins, 10 games against the Royals for sure. At least for that, I know. Is there another team I'm missing? In that Royals? Oh, and Indians. Yeah. They're playing 40 games just with those teams right there. Yeah. So if they go 500 there, they got a legitimate shot of somehow actually going into the playoffs, which is crazy. In any scenario, whether it's young guys, you got the Trot Miguel Cabrera's old butt out there again. They got, Jordan Zimmerman throwing 85-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Cool.
Whatever the case may be. Is there any chance with this condensed season that we see the Tigers are even close to 500? I'm not even going to say playoffs, but 500?
I mean, I think you could. I don't think our pitching's good. I think this all requires on the pitching.
Okay.
And outside of Matthew Boyd.
Yeah, Matt Boyd. I mean, Fulmer will be back,
and
too.
Fulmer will be back.
But
outside of them, too,
same,
I don't think we have the pitching. Like, that's why I look at someone like the Yankees, and you just have pitchers galore on that team. They're going to have no problem because they're just going to go rotate all the way through. And every single game, they're only going to allow 2 runs with Garrett Cole there and all the other guys they got there. So I think teams like that who have great pitchers and great bullpens are just going to be like benefit because if every game can be 1-0 all the way down the line for 40 games straight, you're in the playoffs.
Right, exactly. So, I don't think they have the offensive firepower either yet, the Tigers don't. I don't think they have the bats ready to go yet. Everyone's really talking about, this pitching that they have, and they have a lot of great, prospects ready to go, but at the same time, I don't think they're truly ready from a lineup perspective. You don't have 6 young guys already up here. Like, there wasn't a Castellanos and a JD Martinez and guys that you thought were going to supplement the Miguel Cabreras of this world, right? They're all gone. Everyone's gone. So we have to wait for that, I think, a little bit for sure. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they wind up trotting out there. I actually, for as much flack as Ron Gardenhire is getting, I think he's the perfect guy to be overseeing this kind of really, really rough rebuild. He's a guy that's heavy on fundamentals, so I'm cool with that. I like their past draft. That's really nice. I think they got guys that are going to be in the show a lot sooner rather than later. It helps being the top pick the past 3 years, helps to kind of get that guy. You know what I mean? It's going to be extremely interesting. For you, do you think that baseball is going? Do you think this is going to lead to more changes in baseball if this goes well? Like, a universal DH, maybe a little bit shorter of a season, and make this stuff mean a little bit more. Especially if you see maybe a surprise team or two make the playoffs.
I wouldn't be shocked. I actually don't mind the 160 game season or whatever, solely because I think baseball's always been like America's pastime. Like I don't look at baseball the same as football, where every game means something. Like I think baseball is nice that you can have games or a series where you can just sit back and go, these don't really matter. It's just fun to watch my team play. Where like now this season, it's like every game, it's almost like an NFL or basketball game where like you're stressed because like if you lose these next 3, you might be out of contention soon. So I think it's gonna be for diehard. For me, I'm still gonna enjoy it because I'm not
for sure. You're not super invested. Like when we watch Lions games, we've watched so many together now where I am stressed. Literally from kickoff to the end of usually because Lions always take it up to the last second anyway, but I am stressed the entire time.
If I was so I'm not as stressed, but I don't think it would change like the game wise. I do think the minor like the designated hitters and all that might start to change.
Right, for sure. I'm hoping it does. It makes no sense. Like if you're a pitcher, you have zero reason to ever sign in the National League. Like ever. Like none. I'm like, I have to go bat now? No. You know what I mean? Like legitimately. Like, no, I'm just gonna go stand up there, throw 3 strikes and be done with it.
Exactly. Agreed.
It's gonna be interesting for sure. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what this Tigers team is gonna be, which way they decide to go with it. I'm sure they'll take the side of caution because that's what every team does, but it'd be interesting just to see them go last 10, 15 games of the season and say, screw it, let's go. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I mean.
Throw all those dudes out there and let's see what we have.
If you have a 10 or 15 or 20 game window, I think those last 20 games, you throw Mize in there, you throw all in there, and just have them go through a rotation. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Right. I think it could be really, really fun.
I think you should start with that because you could spike the Tigers ratings early.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Everyone's like, oh, Mize is playing? Okay.
Yeah. I will definitely tune in if one of those guys is starting. Like, okay, we're gonna have our debut guy come out. Chop, chop, chip. Exactly. Let's go for sure. Yeah. Let's talk now. Let's shift our focus here. Let's talk real quick about the Wings, then we'll talk AEW NXT. Let's just give a quick shout out here to Mr. Kenny Holland. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Just real quick, I wanted to hit on this because he was our GM for so long. We got 3 Stanley Cups with him. Your thoughts on his legacy with the Red Wings. We talked about this when he left a couple years ago, but now he's going to the Hall of Fame. It's a big moment.
Yeah.
A lot of fans maybe that are a little bit younger than us don't really remember the good times. All he remembers is this dismantling of a franchise that we're now left to deal with. But at the same time, the streak, he's credited with part of that. You know what I mean? Drafting the guys he drafted, signing the guys he was able to, making Detroit not a country, like a city that's not a destination for any sports team ever.
Yeah.
It was a destination in the NHL and is a true powerhouse cornerstone franchise of the NHL, regardless regardless of their record, for the next 30 years. You know, he has something to do with that. Give me your thoughts just real quick on his legacy here in Detroit.
Oh, it's great. I mean, you already mentioned like everything I was going to say. He's got the 3 Stanley Cup wins. Drafted a whole bunch of great players. Made this team very good for a very long time. Yeah. I think it would have been nice if you would have let the reins go a little earlier. So we didn't have to. Yeah. Now we're not sitting in this spot at this moment.
Eisenman's like, thanks a lot there, guy.
Yeah, but I think in those situations though, you can kind of take the good with the bad. Like I think if you look at NFL and you see like a Belichick and he starts taking a downward spiral with the team, you go, but you had all those
like
great
moments.
Run of
30 years.
Yeah, you can have that great run. So it's like we'll forgive you for that late maybe mishap that you might have if he has one or whatever. Yeah. But like I think we can forgive for a few bad years that you may have had with getting 3 Stanley Cups and a whole bunch of great all-star legendary players.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? You look at this team. Marian Hossa, too, former Red Wing for about a season. He was really good for us up until the Stanley Cup playoffs. Or we'll talk about that another time. But you know, it's definitely one of those things to where, you know, for as much flack as he got in the later years of his tenure, at the same time, he is responsible, you know, for several of those championships. You know, he's responsible for some of these guys that you know and love, right? Whether it's, you know, Zetterberg or whether it's, you know, Dylan Larkin, whoever it was for you, for your guy, you know, he was a part of this, and he's been a part of this franchise for a really long time. So he's still doing something. I think he's in Toronto now, isn't he? I think he's in Toronto.
So. Toronto.
I think it's Toronto.
Yeah,
Toronto. I think it's the Maple Leafs. Anyway, regardless, he's still in the league. He's still doing his thing. But you know, it's a tremendous honor and achievement. So congratulations to Kenny Holland. We had to obviously mention that. But all right. Shifting off the hockey for a second here, let's go right into Wednesday Night Wars once again. I didn't really anticipate talking about AEW or NXT this week just because, you know, we talked about the big triple threat match that was going to happen this week, but now that we're getting Fyter Fest versus now all of a sudden the Great American Bash and this 2-week special event thing that they both have going on against each other. First off, real quick, your thoughts on WWE just going, hey, Great American Bash, label it, let's go. Like, that screams of like, we weren't prepared, but we have this entity. They're doing something. Let's do something too.
And that's 100% what it is. It's just like it's like they almost like mistimed it. It's like they planned the title on like the wrong week.
Right.
And they're like, crap. Wait, that's not next week.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Let's Great American.
Double up. Yeah.
Great American. Okay, we'll throw the Bash in there.
It's 4th of July, right? Great American totally works. It totally works. It's probably blue. Everything works. Yeah.
I think that's like totally like what happened, like low key. So I think it's fine. But.
Yeah, obviously, you know. Let's talk. I want to real talk. Let's just hit real quick because I was so excited for this triple threat match for NXT. Okay. Keith Lee retains North American title. If you haven't seen it, sorry, spoiler alert. By the time you hear this episode, though, it'll be like 4 days old, so whatever. You know, the big thing for me is I thought that match was, I was so excited for it because of the potential what it had. It got less than 15 minutes, super anticlimactic finish. NXT actually won in the ratings this week by quite a bit. AEW did its worst numbers ever, like in the show. I mean, ever is like such a relative term. We can make it sound exactly for like
shows.
You know what I mean? It's not that many shows. Regardless though, but I just kind of felt like with all the other allegations, we're not going to get into that. We don't do that on the show. But do you think that the wrestling community a little bit took a hit? And I think that are we seeing a little bit of like this Fyter Fest Great American thing is kind of a react. I know Fyter Fest has kind of been on the books, but like these kind of ramped up heavy TV shows kind of trying to rival a pay-per-view is kind of a reaction to kind of some of the negative press that both the wrestling industry as a whole has kind of been getting?
I think so. I think it's partially that, but I think it's also partially, I think they're looking at major sports maybe and going, so the NBA is going to be starting up. And we already talked about this, I guess the entire show is basically this. NBA starting up, NHL starting up their playoffs late July, and baseball starting their regular season. And so now I think they're trying to rev up all these storylines and getting everything really started.
We gotta get some good stuff going ahead of time.
Because like we mentioned, if Lakers Clippers are playing on a Wednesday night, sorry wrestling.
Yeah, I'm even gonna watch it. You're gonna get a team.
You're getting pushed to the side for this game or whatever. Right. So they don't want to lose those ratings as well. Yeah. So they're really trying to be like, hey, we're gonna build these people up. So it's like this match is gonna be bigger than whatever game you're gonna watch. I think it's partially that. It's also partially allegation. Probably.
It's tough because you're looking looking at this, and there's a lot of potential, right? You have Fyter Fest up right now? Okay, Fyter Fest, right?
Great American Bash has like nothing announced.
Nothing really. We're not even going to touch that yet. We'll talk about it. The first week, I know there's a Fatal 4-Way next week for the NXT number 1 contender for the women's match. We're going to we'll do that next week. We'll talk about American Bash because night 1 ain't nothing happening anyway. Night 2, though, title for title, there's got some implications there. But let's talk Fyter Fest specifically because we've got the whole card kind of announced. They're really heavy-handing night 1, which I think is why WWE is not doing that. And I'm kind of concerned, and I don't necessarily agree with this. Let's just go down night 1's card here real fast, and then I want to ask you something about it.
Yeah, so we got Private Party with Matt Hardy versus Santana Ortiz.
That'll be fine.
Jurassic Express versus MJF and Wardlow. You got Haruka Shida versus Penelope Ford for the women's title.
Yep.
Cody and Jake Hager for the TNT title. Mm-hmm. And then Kenny and Adam versus Best Friends for the tag titles.
Right.
So you put 3 of your 4 titles on the first night. Hypothetically,
right.
Unless the TNT title gets another defense the week after.
Right, and they haven't announced that yet. But let's just right. So I don't necessarily agree with the loading of the championships. I thought they should have put the women's title on night 2 if they were going to do one.
Yeah.
Because it makes it feel like it's kind of just there. Obviously, I don't anticipate a title change, but point being is you're trying to make it seem like there's a possibility. But more importantly, what I'm a little confused by is because now Moxley hasn't been on TV. He had the brief interruption with the COVID thing. You know, Renee Young's got COVID-19 or whatever. But assuming that match goes on as scheduled, you're really making that a real. I mean, night 2, I get it. You got the 8-man tag, which I guess great, but like that's the world title and that's it. And I feel like you're putting. I'm sorry, and I'm not even a big fan of Keith Lee, but with the potential between title versus title in the main event, Cole versus Keith Lee, or am I going to watch Moxley and Cage? I'm gonna go with NXT. Are you shocked at all that they haven't tried to balance this card out just a little bit in order to kind of tip the scales back into their favor? Because I think night 1 they're going to dominate. You might as well even watch NXT next week because there is going to be no point because nothing's happening except for build for July 8th. So is this kind of a concerted effort to go, we're going to win week, we're going to lose 1 week?
If I was to book this, honestly, because my only thing is I think the only title change is the tag titles.
And I hope it does, quite frankly.
And I do too.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you would. I think when you're looking on the July 8th shows, I think you're looking at the main event show and seeing the title for title versus the world title, and you're like, okay, obviously you're watching NXT, but I think that you could have long-term booking it, got the story of if you got the title change on the July 8th beginning, people would go, okay, that title change hands.
Yes. What is happening?
What's going to happen
I got to flip the channel because I don't know what's going on over here.
Yeah. So maybe you could have got more channel flips that way, but I think maybe they're just trying to solidify winning this week.
Right.
So you're like, we're going to end it with the tag match, and we're just going to have a great match show. And
honestly, too, I liked this segment that they did this past Wednesday with Hager and Cody, like the press conference thing. Thought it was super old school. I loved it. But here's my problem now, though, with the way that they stacked this card, is because we talked about this last week, that the tag title should be the main event. Absolutely, right? But when you make Cody and Hager feel like a big fight feel, and now you've also got the women's match as well, I feel like once again you're diminishing this women's. I'm not coming out here and saying this women's match needs to be paid attention to. That's not what I'm saying. But it is a title match. You only have 4 championships, so it needs to feel important. So with that being said, I feel like you're not going to give Hager and Cody the proper respect either now, because now you've also, it's not going to be main event, and you want that threat of a title change. You know what I mean? Like, I wholly expect the titles to change. I want them to, quite frankly, because they have so many tag teams in AEW right now, they have no single stars. And I think they are hurting for singles guys right now, which I think is why I wish they would have balanced this out just a little bit better as far as card-wise, because I don't think Cage versus Moxley is necessarily like, buckle my seatbelt and let's go. Like, I am fully it's going to be a 12-minute match and Moxley wins with a DDT.
Yeah. I think the problem is out of the 4 title matches, you don't have, because that would be cool with even any of the 3 going on the other show and opening and closing.
I would, absolutely.
A title match opening and closing.
Bookend it with strong matches.
I don't think. And it's going to suck to say, but I don't think the women's one is strong enough.
No, it's not. It's not.
And that's the problem.
Yeah,
and even the world title, I don't think is strong enough either.
No.
But I don't think the women's one is like strong enough where if you open the show with the women's one, I wouldn't maybe switch over.
But I will go check.
But
I will go check and see. No, okay.
And then exactly. Like I'm like, what are they doing?
Bronson Reed versus Cameron Grimes. All right, I guess the other one is a title on the line. Let me go back.
Yeah, but I think that's the problem that you're going to run into. I think they knew they were losing the world title main event on July 8th.
Yeah.
I think it was the early one, and July 1st they want to win, so they really just went July 1st.
Right.
Just throw it there.
For sure.
We're going to get like a million rating on it because all the good matches are on this one.
Real quick, I just want to hit real quick on this, on NXT real fast. We're going to preview the actual match itself and break that down. I want to get a little more in detail with that. But just real quick on the build and as far as what the possible outcome is. We talked about last week how we're like, all right, no matter who wins, it's probably going to go to Cross anyway, right? Are you concerned though that WWE is gonna waste an opportunity here to really solidify? I'm going to assume it's Adam Cole just because if it goes to Keith Lee, I'm gonna lose my freaking mind. No offense to Keith Lee, great athlete. Just think he's boring as all sin. But besides that, like. I think that with this match, you're touting it as, all right, Cole's like, I'm bored, I'm going to go for the NXT North American, and now you have the middle card guy going for the title. Big match, first time it's ever happened. If you ruin this match by having an interference somewhere, I feel like you're going to really hurt a lot of people to go, dude, you could have had a moment here, and instead we're just going to get, all right, Cross versus Cole at the next takeover. Or, you know what I mean? Like, are you concerned at all that this match is just going to be, like, all this build and I'm, like, because I'm pumped. I'm super excited for it, but I'm also, like, not really ready to, like, jump full in and be, like, enthralled with it, because if they give it 10 minutes, I'm going to lose my mind.
Well, yeah, I think to that, I think it won't kill NXT for me.
No, it's not going to kill it.
But for me, though, I'm like, do I really want to? Because if you're gonna play in this bigger than life match,
right. Like this is a
title
big
for
deal,
title,
right.
And it's like a DQ finish or just a not a good match, I go, if that's the best, technically the
two best guys on your roster, your two champions, and they can't give me a 4-star match, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, where I can just go to AEW and go, you get Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus Lucha Bros, and they're giving you 5-star classics on AEW TV,
exactly.
and they're just the tag team.
Right.
They're not even like the world title match. Right. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to tune more into AEW. I think this could solidify people finally changing over to NXT, officially, be like, wow, that was so good.
Right. Like
NXT is going to be my
maybe there's a little more depth on AEW right now, but the top.
Is still.
But
if the match is bad, then you go, if that's the best you can give between the two titles, and that's the match you give me, I'm going to definitely watch AEW.
Right, and especially the singles. I think, and looking at AEW right now, too, just real fast, you look at these tag team division AEW has. Honestly, though, it's a problem because it's like you don't have any single star. Like, look at this tag team. You got FTR, which, some people are big fans, some are not. They are what they are, right? You got Lucha Bros, you got Young Bucks, you got Private Party, Best Friends, you got the Tag Champs, obviously, Kenny in there. You got, I guess you did have Jimmy Havoc and Once His Nuts, but it's gone. You've got Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. You've got the Dark Order. You've got the Nightmares or whatever, Disasters, old guys, whatever. Point being is that you have a lot of freaking tag teams out here right now. SCU, they're the first tag team. I didn't mention them. And then you've got like 4 singles guys right now. You know what I mean? Are you concerned at any point that that's going to come back to haunt AEW? Do you think that that's like the number one area of need that they really need to start to like? Is not maybe the middle, but the top tier talent, like main event level guys, because Brody Lee's not main event level in my opinion.
Yeah, I think what they're going to do is when they split up Kenny and Adam, after, I'm assuming... It's got to blow up now. If Best Friends don't win, I'm going to be so confused.
Yeah, because what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing with them?
For sure.
Because I think when they lose, they're going to split them up, either be one a heel, one, or just like split them up in general.
I think Kenny's going to turn.
Someone's going to turn probably or whatever, and then with MJF on the rise, because I think he's
waiting. He's just sitting there waiting. He's percolating. That's exactly what he's doing. He's just like... waiting for my spot. We're just waiting for them to give it to him.
Yeah, All Out, he'll probably win the world title or whatever against Moxley or whatever. And then you're going to have him run against Kenny, Adam, Cody.
Right.
Go down the list of Brian Cage, Orange Cassidy.
Right.
You can just go down the list and go, here are the guys that are going to be challenging him for this title.
Right. And like I said, like it's I look at them and I look at like the Lucha Brothers too. I think they need to split up. They can still be a group, the little death triangle thing with Neville, but they're both accomplished singles guys. Break them up. We need those guys. We need Hager. We need Archer. We need, all these guys to really fulfill this. And we need to stop bringing in guys like Ricky Starks to challenge the TNT title. And we need to have some of these other guys be in that match because then it elevates them to the main event level. So just something to take a look at for sure. I'm extremely excited for Fyter Fest, especially night 1. Lots of titles on the line.
Yeah.
Always
night 2.
Always gets me excited. I'll be back and forth until the main event, and then I'll be locked in to make sure, Keith Lee, the most boring person ever, doesn't win the world title. So
Until he does.
dude, I'm gonna text you and be like, I'm so bummed. I texted you. I texted you yesterday. I just went, ugh.
Yeah. I didn't even watch it, so.
Yeah, it's okay. But all right, that's gonna be it for this week's episode, guys. Next week we're gonna go heavy into detail, tail the tape, so to speak, for that big NXT title match, as well as maybe a review of Night 1 of Fyter Fest. We're obviously gonna also be talking about possibly, any of the big news coming out for the other 3 sports leagues. Maybe the NFL topics. We get some of that stuff going on as well. All that great stuff coming at you for you next week. As always, for the Missing Whale Man, he's the Mark Zone. I'm the Mouth of Michigan, and we will see you guys as always next time.